everybody, welcome to our video about Karijini. After setting up camp at the Dales Gorge campground, our first stop was the Dales Gorge lookout, and as you can see, wow. It was then time to tackle the stairs down to Fortescue Falls. As we were walking down the stairs and taking in all the beauty of the gorge, we were very aware that at some point we had to come back up all of these stairs. It was amazing seeing Fortescue Falls come into view and being able to look at it from above on the stairs. We then made our way down to the base of the falls. Stop was Fern Pool, and it was just amazing. So tranquil, so inviting, we couldn't wait to get in and have a swim. We swam across to the waterfall, and you could climb up behind the waterfall and sit and look back across the pool. It was so peaceful and tranquil sitting up there just listening to the water cascading down in front of us and looking over the beautiful clear water. We then decided to make the walk along the bottom of Dales Gorge down to the other end to Circular Pool. We weren't sure how far it was, but we were up for the challenge. It was fun looking for all the yellow dots on the Class 4 walk. We had to cross the gorge a couple of times, which did mean rock hopping and getting our feet wet. And yes, we did miss some of the dots and have to backtrack. The walk was really enjoyable. Even though it was a Class 4 walk, it was quite shaded and it was quite easy to navigate your way if you managed to keep an eye on those yellow dots, which we weren't very good at because we kept taking in all of the beauty around us. We arrived at Circular Pool and noticed that no one was swimming. We weren't really sure why they weren't swimming, but we soon discovered it was full of leeches. This was the climb out of Dales Gorge. It was quite steep and we were quite out of breath, but we were able to look back over Circular Pool once we reached the top. Once we were at the top, we enjoyed a nice leisurely walk along the rim. We stopped at the Three Ways lookout to take it all in and catch our breaths again before we set off on the final part of our walk back to the car at the Fortescue Falls car park. Day 2 of our Karijini adventure, and we headed to Knox Gorge. We'd been recommended that we stop in past Knox Gorge by another family that we'd met on our travels. The walk into Knox Gorge was a Class 5, so we knew that it was going to be physically challenging, but we were so looking forward to it. Once again, there was a lot of rock hopping and crisscrossing across the gorge, all the while keeping an eye out for those little blue dots. They were spaced out and a bit harder to find. There is so much to take in as you navigate your way along the gorge. It was at this point that the walk got really challenging. You either needed to be able to manage to shuffle along the rocks, or you needed to get down into the cold water where it was a little bit safer. I managed to stay out of the water for quite a while, but eventually I found it was just too difficult and it was much easier and safer to be down in the water. Once we had gone as far as we were able to, we took some time to just enjoy our surroundings. Then it was time to turn around and make our way back out. Once we reached the top of Knox Gorge, we took one last look back over where we'd been before moving on. Our next stop was Joffre Gorge. This is the only gorge that you can see the entirety of the gorge from the lookout. We then made our way down into Hancock Gorge. Once again, the safest option was to get down into the water. We arrived at the infamous spider walk. Rather than trying to spider walk and fail, once again we decided the safest option was to stay down low. We made it to Kermit's Pool, which is as far as you're able to go. Having come that far, we weren't going to miss the opportunity to look down the gorge. Our last stop for the day was Weeno Gorge and the infamous handrail pool. Handrail pool was always going to be the biggest challenge for me personally. However, with a lot of support and encouragement from Father, we made it down safely. Although we didn't swim at Handrail Pool, we did spend some time down there. We had it all to ourselves and it was just amazing to sit there and take it all in while we psyched ourselves up for the climb back out. Our last stop for the day was the Oxa and Junction Pool lookouts. It was so lovely to have a look back down at where we'd been and remind ourselves of what a physically challenging day we'd had. Day 3 of our Karijini adventure saw us travel to Hammersley Gorge. Along the way, we stopped in at some old ruins. We also passed Mount Bruce. We noticed as soon as we arrived at Hammersley Gorge the difference in the landscape and the way that the gorge had been formed over many thousands of years. It's quite an easy walk down into Hammersley Gorge. As you can see from these pictures, it's a really beautiful place. Hammersley Gorge is nowhere near as deep or as long as the other gorges that we had visited in Karijini, but I think it was the most spectacular. There was an additional Class 5 walk that you could take to make your way to the spa pool. Of course, Father and I, after doing all those other Class 5 walks, were not going to let this one get past us. We enjoyed a lovely refreshing dip in the spa pool. We had it all to ourselves again, although there was quite a crowd of people, which is how we got our photos and videos taken. To finish our time in Karijini, we headed to Kalamina Gorge. This gorge is quite often overlooked by visitors to Karijini, but we decided to go and have a look after we'd spoken with the ranger. We're so glad that we did. While we were in the gorge, we met a lovely family who we'd actually bumped into in Hancock Gorge a few days earlier. We enjoyed a lovely quiet walk with them through the gorge, right through to the end where there is a nature's window. Father had to climb up and have a look through. Mother stayed safely on the ground. On our way back out of the gorge, we came across an interesting little lizard. He wasn't scared of us at all and happily posed for photos.
We hope you really enjoyed the last video of Karijini. We loved it. It was a really great place to visit.
It certainly was. So a couple of little things that we learnt about Karijini. One is you do need to book in advance and you need to book online. The campground is constantly full. So we only needed to book about a week in advance and we were able to secure 4 nights at the Dales Campground. There is another camping option there, which is the Eco Retreat, which is off-road. We wouldn't have taken our van to that location. It was a bit of a rough road, but you can get in there if you can't get into Dales Campground. And there is a free camp that's not widely known about just before you get to the entrance to Karijini. We don't have much information about it. We learnt about it after we'd been, but there is that option there as well. But if you plan ahead, which is difficult when you're doing a lap because you tend to wing it as you're going, but as you're getting closer to Karijini, if you've got an idea of when you'll be there, just jump online when you get to some internet service and make your booking so that you don't run into any issues when you arrive at the campground. The campground was amazing, wasn't it? It was plenty of room, drop toilets but no smell. They
Yeah,
were really
clean.
clean, but there's no showers, there's no water, so you do need to be a little bit prepared if you're going to be staying there a few days.
All right, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.
Bye everybody.